Hi everyone, my name is Britain Cline, Ad Sales Manager, and welcome to this week's edition of Level Up from Behind the Counter.
Thank you. Hi, I'm William Cline, publisher of Scuba Diving Industry Magazine, and welcome to this new series where we're talking to retailers about their businesses to other retailers.
That's right.
That's right. So, who do we have today as our guest?
Yes, so today our guest is Steve Weaver, former owner of Weaver's Travel, Dive, and Dive and Travel Center, as well as Dreamweaver Travel. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be with you.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate you coming out of retirement, to chat with us today, and to help maybe other retailers out there that are looking for an exit strategy like you've gone through. So,
Totally.
this should be a great interview today.
It definitely will. But Steve, just to jump right into things, could you tell us a little bit about your former shop and travel business, and maybe what led you to sell, and how you found a buyer?
That's a good question.
Sure.
Bunch of them.
So I started a dive center in Boulder, Colorado, of all places, in 1983. My goal in the beginning was to kind of take care of the local divers, because that's pretty much all I had done at that point, was diving in Colorado lakes. And very quickly, my customers started asking whether or not I was going to do any dive trips. So right away, I started doing group travel pretty much within the first year. And it grew to almost uncontrollable place where we were doing 2 group trips a month.
Wow.
And I only had one other employee. So one of us was leading a trip, one of us was running the store. So it was kind of crazy. So I honed that down to 1 trip a month. And that's what we did basically all the way up till in 2023 when I sold. So, we had a retail store, of course. We did retail sales, servicing, and training. And then the travel part of it became a huge part of the business. So within a couple of years, I decided it was important to have my own travel agency. That's when I opened Dreamweaver Travel, to basically take care of our own travel needs, because we were doing so much of it. I felt like we needed to have a little bit more control over when airline seats were assigned, when deposits were paid, et cetera, et cetera. So we did that for a couple of years, and then I got approached by another dive store owner here in Colorado, actually, that asked me to help them put together a trip to Africa with a diving element and a safari element, because we had done it before, and that owner said, rather than recreating the wheel, why not ask someone to help that's done it before? So I helped them put together that trip, and it was one of the most successful trips they've ever run. They got over 30 people on that trip and
Wow.
made really good money. And that's what kind of launched us into the wholesale realm, which is what Dreamweaver Travel ended up becoming. So essentially, I was running 2 businesses. I had the retail side of things, which was training, retail sales, and then group travel on Weaver's side. And then the Dreamweaver wholesale side, which we grew to a point where we were working with over 60 dive stores around the country, helping them with their dive travel program. And that still continues today under the new ownership.
Well, that's amazing. 4 decades is a long time in the dive business, and you've done it all, and obviously done it very, very successfully. But if you look back on your, decades, what 3 things would you say you did really well in your business and you're proud of?
Well, first and foremost, I think, was customer service. I mean, that's the bottom line with any retail business, is you have to take care of your customers. You have to listen to your customers. You have to know what they want and do the best job you can to provide the services that they expect. So I think we did a really good job with that. We had a very, very loyal customer base that stayed with us all. They're still there. They're still loyal to the new owner. So I think that was first and foremost. Secondly was building a good team and creating an environment for employee retention. this industry isn't notorious for um, being able to offer people long-term career opportunities.
That's true.
It's getting better and better, and I'm proud to say that several of the employees I've had over the years have stayed in the industry and are still successful in the industry in one way or another. Um, so that was very important. We did that by offering benefits, health insurance benefits, 401k benefits, creating a fun working environment, um, a team, kind of a team environment where we all contributed to every aspect of the business. And like I said, I was very, very lucky to have an incredible um, experience with employees over the years. Many had worked for me for, you know, 15, 20 years in some
Wow,
cases.
that's amazing.
And then the travel side of things, I think, is probably the single um, most successful thing we did. When we first started back in 1983, dive stores weren't notoriously doing a lot of group travel.
Right.
It was kind of Diving was still kind of in its infancy. It's one of the things I've always loved about this industry is it's a young industry and you can affect change very easily and quickly if you put some effort into it. Um, we realized right away that travel was going to be a very, very important part of the business, and it proved to be that. It's kind of a three-legged stool. You have to have like education, you have to have retail, and you have to have travel to keep your customers active and to keep them loyal to your store. Um, Nowadays, you're hard pressed to find a dive store out there that doesn't have a travel program. Um, it's the number one way to keep your customers involved with your business. Once they've bought their equipment, once they've done their training, the next step is they want to go use their experience and use their equipment. And the more opportunities you offer them, the more they're going to stay loyal to your store. So we learned that very early, and that's kind of the foundation that my company built its success on, I guess.
Well, you know,
Totally.
you can to have employees that stay 15 years and you have benefits, it means that you were making a profit, obviously. And my guess is you didn't do $99 learn to dive courses.
Never.
Okay, that's my point. You know, probably I don't know what your open water course was priced at before you left in 23, but I bet around $300 somewhere in that neighborhood. Am I close?
Give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, and that's a fallacy a lot of retailers fall into is discount, discount, discount to get the customers and they don't have any profit margins. Well, if you have no profit margin, yeah, you can keep your lights on. You might have enough to pay your mortgage payment at the end of the month, but you're not going to be able to keep good employees and keep them long term and pay things like 401ks and medical. So that's really, really amazing, to be honest with
Definitely.
you.
Yeah, very interesting.
The
Uh,
the bottom line to that is service. I mean, if you provide a good level of service to your customers, they're going to be loyal. And there's a difference between, just dropping your prices to try and get more business versus increasing your service level. So we always tried to find value added things to put in our training programs and also equipment sales programs to be able to compete with the discounters out there. And yes, I mean, there were trying times, of course. The economic downturn in 2008, 2009 was challenging. 9/11 was challenging.
Yeah.
COVID was challenging, but you do what you have to do. You pivot to make whatever changes you have to make to keep your employees, keep your business alive, and that's all you can do.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. So, could you tell us a little bit about ScubaCon and how that maybe helped your business? I think a lot of
Good question.
other retailers should do, the same in their regions. So, maybe if you could give us some tips on starting their own version of ScubaCon.
And Britain, I've actually been to ScubaCon before, and
That's
it's
right.
really quite amazing. It's just like a little mini trade show,
Right.
consumer show.
Yeah, I'm very proud of ScubaCon. We started that. I can't even remember how many years ago now. It was kind of an offshoot of a program that DEMA did back in the day, where they got a handful of resort and equipment manufacturers to join into doing a road show, for lack of a better word, where they chose dive stores around the country to go and set up these mini consumer shows. And we were one of the lucky stores that got chosen to get that program. We had been running annual sales every year pretty much since I opened. So we combined those two things and created ScubaCon, which has grown now to typically the biggest one we had 45 exhibitors and over 600 attendees.
Wow.
On a 2-day show. And it's exciting. It's an exciting event for the consumers. Again, it's something that you create for your customers to have an opportunity to meet face to face with suppliers, destinations, get an opportunity to attend seminars, have an opportunity to win prizes, and to interact with other divers. It's just a great social environment. And we've had really, really good support from our suppliers, especially the travel suppliers that we work with, that come sometimes from far away. We
Yeah.
get exhibitors from Indonesia and Philippines and Mexico and Fiji. I mean, it's unbelievable how many people come to support this event. And a lot of it comes from the fact that Colorado has a very active dive travel population. So these guys see the benefit of getting face to face with the customer and pitching their product, so to speak. So I'm not sure it's something I would encourage every store in the country to do, because it's going to be something that suppliers have very limited marketing dollars that they can spend. And if everybody's trying to do this, it's going to make the pie a little more diluted, if you will. But definitely have some kind of an event. I would encourage every dive store to have some kind of an annual event for their customers. I know stores that have had travel nights where they invite their customers in and have virtual presentations from suppliers on travel. Actually, annual sales, I think pretty much everybody does something like that. Anything that you can think of to keep your customers engaged and to give them an opportunity to interact with each other helps build your future business, and especially future travel business, because people want to travel with their friends. So any of those kind of events encourage that kind of camaraderie.
You know, I got to see that firsthand when we created the scuba tour, which then became the Be a Diver pool tour, Go Dive Now pool tour later from DEMA. You know, the vision wasn't necessarily to send Dave Riedenbach around the entire country with his truck forever. The vision, I thought, would just be 1 or 2 years we'd go around and every local association would buy a pool and they'd have their own events and we'd kind of work ourselves out of a job. It really wasn't a profit thing to start with. And I was shocked that only two dive associations actually bought a pool to do anything. Somebody up in the Northeast bought one, and for a while there was a Dallas DFW retailer association that bought one and tried to do an event or two. But I'm right there with you. I believe that having some kind of an event, not necessarily bringing vendors from all over the world, but definitely a local event is really needed. Let me ask you, in the rear view mirror, you know, looking at those 4 decades, if there was one thing you could have done better in that with your company, what would have that been?
I think we focused, as I've said, so much on travel that we could have done a better job with building our training program. We had a decent training program. We probably certified 250 to 300 students a year, but it wasn't my main priority, and we could have built that program a lot bigger and better, I think. So I don't regret it, because
You're
I built a
retired.
pretty strong business,
Yeah.
but but it was it was something that we definitely could have done more with for sure.
Interesting.
Certainly. And lastly, what piece of advice would you tell other shop owners out there considering selling, especially things that you found to watch out for, or things that maybe you found it's easier just to not think about?
Um, the number one thing is know your numbers.
Mm.
If you're going to sell your business, you need to know what the value of your business is, unless you're willing to give it away.
Right.
But know your numbers. I mean, what I think one of the best things I did was hired an attorney right away, a business attorney, somebody that has experience selling businesses. Also, I've had an accountant since day one. Again, I think that was one of the best things I did when I opened was to hire an accountant right away because I'm not good with numbers and I'm not good with um, watching, when taxes are due, when payrolls due, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. I needed someone else to kind of spearhead that for me. And so I hired someone right away, which kept me legal. um, so have those two people to help you figure out what the value of your business is. What a lot of businesses use is what's called EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. And that helps give you a bottom line value of your business. The next step is to find what they call multiples. So businesses like yours that have sold, that they take a multiple of that bottom line EBITDA number, times a certain number. And the hard thing about a dive store is there's no real comparisons out there.
Right.
So
Very
when we
difficult.
were looking at it, we chose um, travel. We could find travel agencies. That was easy enough. Um, but then we went to specialty sporting goods stores as the other multiple that we used. And we did a combination of those two to multiply times our EBITDA and come up with a number that was a good solid valuation of the business. Once you have that number in place, then another thing you need to consider is what kind of a sale is it going to be? Is it going to be an asset sale or is it going to be a stock sale? The difference is a stock sale, you're selling every part of the business, including liabilities. So if you have any debt, that's going with the sale. The new owner takes over that debt. An asset sale is only the assets of the business. And the assets obviously are your inventory, your fixtures, your customer list, goodwill. I mean, you can define assets to be pretty much whatever you want it to be, but you're not selling any liabilities.
Right.
So that's the way I did it. I did an asset sale. I wanted to make sure that all my liabilities were taken care of before I sold. So I had no debt to either pass along or deal with after the fact. Um, and then find a buyer. I mean, the one of the things that kind of got me thinking, I think every small business owner thinks and hopes that you'll be able to sell your business someday, especially if you've invested 42 years like I did in it. Um, it's a big part of what your retirement is going to be based on. So finding a buyer that can offer you what the business is worth and that can bring value to the business and hopefully improve it even moving forward. So I had a few offers prior to deciding on the final sale. And for one reason or another, they didn't work out the way that I wanted them to. So I started thinking about who could benefit the best from owning my business and who also would probably do the best job moving it forward. And that's when I looked at the other dive store in town. There were two dive stores in Boulder, one in North Boulder, and then I was in South Boulder. And I reached out to the owner of the store in North Boulder and sat down with him over breakfast and asked him if he would be interested in purchasing my business, and he was. and we went down the road from there. And I'm very happy with the way it turned out. He is passionate about taking it to the next level and continuing the legacy that I built, which makes me very happy to know that the business is going to continue and continue to succeed, and my customers are going to get taken care of. So, there's always an opportunity in any endeavor to just sell for whatever you can get. And I know that happens sometimes because people just want to get out from under it.
Yeah, that's true.
I wasn't at that point. I didn't really have to sell. I love this industry. You know me, William. We've been friends for a long, long time. I love this industry, and I really had I really didn't care one way or another whether I sold. I could continue to do this for many more years, but the opportunity came up, and I jumped on it, and happily it worked out for the best. By the way, I'm not fully retired. I'm still running some group trips.
Good.
Booking them through my former company, Dreamweaver Travel. They're booking all my trips for me, but I'll still be running some group trips, and that's was always the most fun part of my job, is diving and taking people on dive trips. I just got back from a trip on the Nautilus Bellamy and the Sea of Cortez, which was amazing. I'm getting ready to go to Enchant's-Dene in St. Lucia in the end of October.
Oh, nice.
And got a couple scheduled for next year already. So I'm still doing stuff like that. And I still love this industry, and I'm still serving on the DEMA board until DEMA this year will be the end of my two terms on the board. I think yours is coming up too, William, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So, anyway, that's kind of the story. I hope that answers some questions. And
I think that a lot of retailers out there are going to find this a fascinating interview and very helpful. So thank you, Steve, for being on the show. And also thank you for serving on the board of directors of DEMA. People don't realize that it's a thankless job, but it's an important job. And I do appreciate your service, and I know others do too. So Britt, who do we have planned for our next guest on this series?
That's right. So our next guest in this series will be Pat Hammer of Dive Right Scuba. Now he has 2 locations, one near Chicago and a second in sunny Arizona. And if I can recall correctly, I believe y'all 2 go back. So that should make for a
we
pretty
go
cool
way
interview.
back. Yeah, Pat and I, he was a fellow course director, and I think he's certified probably more instructors than anybody else on the planet,
Wow.
my guess. And plus, he sold a shop a lot like you, Steve. And now his passion is teaching. So he just teaches instructor courses for the location that the people that he sold his store to. So. And we also have Marketing Minutes coming up on Monday with
Catherine Castle. That's right.
our very own Catherine Castle. She's going to be speaking to us about her company, Clear Story Coaching, which is executive coaching. It's going to be fantastic. So, Steve, thanks again for joining us on this edition of Level Up from Behind the Counter. And we will see you in about 80 days at the DEMA show.
That's right.
sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very
Thanks so
much.
much.